Okay, here we are at Lake Wendouree. Lake Wendouree, of course, very important place in Ballarat and has been for a very long time for recreation. So again, we're getting the early perceptions of the land relating to settlement in the land. Okay, so we've gone from wilderness to settlement. And you see here that Lake Wendouree is being, of course, used for recreational pursuits, yachting, okay, canoeing. You've even got steamboats here too. But if you look in the foreground of this painting, it's rather interesting too, because you've got lots of bird life. This is a water environment. You've got the habitat for different birds here, obviously Australian native birds, but it's interesting too and quite could be seen as a little bit curious. You may not get the close-up detail of this, but we've got two white swans there too. So that we're introduced species too. Okay, we find this in many of the early works as well. You see the introduction of different species of animals, the flora and fauna in the landscape. And so those white swans would have been brought out here along with other flora and fauna that some, of course, which was very beneficial and very beautiful, but some, of course, certainly wasn't and has had a major impact on the land. There was the Victorian Acclimatisation Society at the time too, that they were in fact responsible for bringing a lot of these species in, such as blackberries and other forms of plants that we're still having problems with. But that's part of the whole story, and I think that's something to consider too. Now, so you've got a view here. Interesting, the artist who did this was a convict that had been sent to, his name was Knut. He was a Norwegian artist, and he was sent to the penal colony in Tasmania for forging a banknote. He was eventually pardoned, and he came to the mainland and did a lot of works. He was obviously in Ballarat. He did two works in Ballarat. This is one of them. The other one, we don't know where it is. One day, hopefully, we may find it. But also, getting back to the romanticised view, you do see this in Knut's work. I've seen some of his work in the Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery. And again, you do get that beautiful kind of this capturing of the early morning light or the evening light, and you see that very much here. But quite a beautiful work, and it's interesting to see the way that this was 1886. To 1870, that's the date of this work. So you can see that after the 10 years or so after the gold rush, you see that 30 years after the gold rush, of course, enormous changes. Look at the city in the background, look at the built environment, and compare that to this foreground scene. You've also got Mount Warren Heap in the distance here too, that we saw in the earlier Von Gerard work. Okay.